Okay, folks, so I'm trying to figure out where to start as far as the weather modification information is concerned. And I mean, I have a lot of different files and paperwork and stuff here. This is a really interesting one here on weather and climate modification. Report of the Special Commission on Weather Modification from 1965. There's some interesting stuff in there considering laws and mentions of DOD and NASA that I want to cover as well. And I have some more patents and stuff here that I pulled out from my files. And I have some other information concerning the NROL, the National Reconnaissance Office, and some of their recent launches and everything too that I want to share, as long with some interesting imagery that I had shared before in several videos. I don't know, probably 4 years ago. What is it, 2023? Yeah, I mean, it had to have been 2018, 2019 or so. But I want to do an updated one on that and share that information again concerning some of the stars and some of the stuff that I've captured around the stars and some interesting imagery. But before I go into some of that, that might even be another video because I still haven't gotten into some of the other patents. But I want to reiterate that there is, on the National Exercise Program that I discussed in one of the last videos, talking about the FEMA's National Exercise Program, where they offer up starter kits and everything, and people can run their own exercise programs. I believe that it's all kind of tied into some of the continuity of government stuff going on too. But anyway, there's an up and coming exercise program that is scheduled for May 23rd, 2023 from 8 to 4 p.m. And it's called the Golden Gavel, a legal exercise for Northern California catastrophic earthquake, okay? So it's kind of interesting. Let's look at the event details real quick here before I go into some of the weather mod stuff. Oh, and I also have some, I wanted to go into the S686 thing too, where they're trying to pass more laws. Like, it's supposed to be like the Patriot Act on steroids, and I've read through most of it, and it is pretty interesting. But anyway, this event upcoming for California is the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services in FEMA Region 9 legal teams are hosting a tabletop exercise for federal, state, tribal, and local attorneys to discuss legal issues that may arise from a catastrophic earthquake impacting the Bay Area. Now, keep in mind, my interest in this is because we here in Nevada are part of Region 9. So if they're lumping us into the 10 coordinated regions of FEMA, as I believe that we are being managed right now, then this legal exercise would probably most likely any of the findings or any of the data that's raised from it and any of the policy influences that might go on would most likely carry over into Nevada too. So anyway, it says during the May 23rd tabletop, players will exercise legal support from and coordination among attorneys during a catastrophic earthquake along the Hayward Fault, and goals of the exercise include to raise awareness of potential impacts of catastrophic earthquake, identify legal issues that may impede response and recovery efforts and solve them, identify discrete actions to take in advance of an earthquake to streamline issue resolution. This event is invitation only. You can reach out to FEMA or Cal OES Legal Counsel for more information. So, if you're not invited to participate in this little golden gavel exercise, then you're going to have to wait a little while until after the little exercise is over until they publish their findings. So you better believe I'll be paying attention to any published findings and data collected during this little tabletop exercise for Northern California catastrophic earthquake. So anyway, there was that I wanted to cover before, but and oh my goodness, yeah, man, this is gonna be really hard to pick and choose how to go into some of this other stuff. But before I do, I want to touch a little bit on this S686. Okay, this is a current bill that's being introduced, and I'm guessing that there's not going to be a whole lot of people that are even going to be aware that this stuff is going on, where they're attempting to further control communication lines and everything. And it is really, really interesting. And, you know, there's a couple different summaries for it, but when I go into some more of this, I want to point out some of the terms that they have associated with it, like, you know, including persons um, of U.S. nationality, as it would so be named. So, yeah, here's a part of their definitions here. Person, the term person means a natural person, including a citizen or national of the United States or of any foreign country. Okay, this is supposed to protect our security and our interests according to the act and everything. They're talking about some kind of thing about saving TikTok and all that. Seems to be like the main focus of it. But you know, if y'all got a problem with TikTok, you should have spoke up about some of this stuff, like a long time ago when it was first exposed that Facebook was actually Fedbook. Okay, y'all should have been suspicious when things started going on with some of these platforms and our communication lines and with Gmail. Okay, and you should have been wise to some of that and been speaking up about that, because they've been getting away with that for a while, and now all of a sudden you want to have a problem with TikTok, and they're using TikTok as an excuse to go after our other communication lines and then hold us responsible for our private communications. And I'm saying this again, I said it in the previous videos. Anyone that is in support of them unclassifying and punishing people for their private communications and the words that they choose to use to communicate in their private communications, you're just asking for them to be allowed to do the same thing to you, which is exactly what they're going to do. And I believe that this bill here has got something to do with that too. But again, that's probably going to just be another one, because I need to read a little bit more into it, and I want to research and look up some additional information according to their references and stuff that they use in this bill, S686. You can research it and look it up for yourself and read some of it. There's definitely a lot of hubbub and talk about it. And I do believe that it's going to dictate how people like me are going to be able to communicate information about such topics like climate change and weather manipulation and weather modification, which is what this video is supposed to be originally about, this part 2. So anyway, I'll go into another one talking about the S686 as well. And then I'll probably do another video concerning the National Exercise Program, because you can look back through their previous publications from their previous exercises, and you can see what data they collected from the previous exercises, and then you can compare it to how recent policies that have changed, which have pretty much, you know, removed some more of our liberties and some of our freedoms, has been applied based on these national exercise programs. Okay, so anyway, that's another one. Shoot. Oh, this is already 8 minutes. All right. Anyway, this is another interesting file. This is from the Weather Modification Association in Fresno, California. And this is the 3rd edition from August of 1996. And this is basically the remainder of this video. I'm going to try to present enough information to anybody that wants to believe that we actually have natural occurring weather patterns right now, because I would debate that, and I would argue that none of our weather patterns that we are experiencing right now are naturally occurring. They've been manipulated, they've been altered, okay? And that's, to me, that's a fact. After I've looked through all of the information that I have looked up and researched, and the questions that I've asked to certain agencies and the answers that I've gotten in return, would definitely suggest that they are actually controlling and manipulating our upper atmosphere around us. And, oh my goodness, yeah. The Weather Modification Association, WMA, was organized in 1950 under the name Weather Control Research Association to develop a better understanding of weather modification among program sponsors, operators, and other scientists. The WMA now has approximately 200 members located on 5 continents. Okay, and we are talking about 1950. Okay. Major activities of the WMA are promotion of responsible application of weather modification technology, promotion of research and development in weather modification, serving as a clearinghouse and distributor of information on weather modification, producing and disseminating policy statements on all aspects of weather modification, publication of the Journal of Weather Modification, which is available, which I have parts and pieces of. I don't believe I have every chapter from the Journal of Weather Modifications, but I have several years documented, key years actually, and the years when they modified the weather in other countries to suit military installations and to set up military bases and stuff. They documented that stuff, and I have that in my files too. That's another one anyway, video anyway. But certification of members qualified to conduct weather modification projects, encouraging international cooperations in weather modification activities, which they have. And we can see that when we look up patents and when we look up information, we can see that there is an international collaboration, and it doesn't matter what country. All the major ones, everyone, Russia, China, the Saudis, India, I mean, you name it. Every country that has a major governmental body to disseminate the information that they can use to disseminate the information and the technology to and utilize their people and their brilliant minds, so to speak, to further this agenda, they have used for decades, okay? So, general membership is open to any individual interested in any aspect of weather modification. Organizations interested in weather modification are invited to join as corporate members. Well, there would be no incentive right there for anybody to, join and try to profit from any of the progress or any of the lack of progress of, I mean, dues are assessed on a calendar year basis. The classes of membership and the annual dues in 1996 were $250 and $10 for a student. Applications for membership and additional information can be obtained from the Weather Modification Association in Fresno, California. Okay, folks, this has been going on for a very long time. And it's not a secret. It's not a secret. And it gives this interesting forward here. Nearly all modern attempts to modify the weather involve cloud seeding, which is the intentional treatment of individual clouds or cloud systems to achieve some desired effect, which I have some of the patents for on the ways to, well, there's the one right there, method of modifying weather. But anyway, it says here, for a long time, various materials have been known to affect the formation and growth of water droplets and ice crystals in clouds. Important discoveries in 1946 at the General Electric Research Laboratories in Schenectady, New York. Yeah, I got some interesting information on General Electric too, but anyway, led to practical methods for modifying large volumes of clouds at reasonable cost. Well, that's cool. They made it cost effective, huh? 3 key persons associated with those developments were Irving Langmuir, Vincent Schaefer, and Bernard Vonnegut. Building upon those early discoveries and additional scientific experiments, atmospheric scientists continue to develop cloud seeding technique, which, when properly utilized, when is it properly utilized? In my opinion, it's never. When properly utilized, provide results of practical importance. Clouds have been seeded in attempts to modify fog, hail, wind, and lightning, but most projects have been intended to provide additional precipitation in the form of either rain or snow. We know about chemical ice nucleization. We know all of that whole process because they've published all the patents for doing it. And not only that, but they've also published the findings in their data because they're proud of it. Utah Cloud Seeding Company, they're very proud of their work in manipulating and altering the snowpack in the Rocky Mountains. They're very proud of the work that they've done. I mean, they boast about it. So it's not a secret. So to anybody that wants to believe that the skies that we see every day are perfectly natural, you need to rub your eyes a little bit harder and get some more of the wool and some of the crap that they've been spraying us with out of your eyes, and take another look, because none of it is natural. These weather patterns that we are experiencing right now in no way, shape, or form should ever be normalized. That is the terrifying part about it, is that they have so many people in the general pop that just want to believe all of these fantastic stories coming out from NOAA and from DARPA and from these weather makers and these weather warfarians that are raging. We're at ground zero, folks, okay? And if I sound frustrated, it's because there have been a lot of people sounding this alarm, myself included, for a long enough time that more people need to start pointing this out, okay? Anyway, where was I at here? Okay. In the form of either rain or snow. According to information provided by member countries to the World Meteorological Organization, cloud seeding projects are now being conducted in over 40 countries. So it's worldwide, okay? And I have, here's an interesting article too, a recent one as well, from January. Researchers seek global ban on sun dimming technologies. So there are people that are opposing this stuff, okay? International academic group says solar geoengineering is too risky despite desperation over climate change. Academics around the world have called for an urgent ban on technologies that would dim the sun in order to mitigate climate change, extending to any in-the-field trials and research. Quote, the development of solar geoengineering technologies must be stopped, end quote, said Frank Beyerman from Utrecht University in the Netherlands, who led an international group of more than 60 researchers in calling for a ban on January 17th. Techniques to reduce the amount of solar radiation trapped by the Earth's atmosphere, such as injecting aerosols into the stratosphere to reflect sunlight, have long been suggested as a potential method to control global temperature rise. But critics say it could alter the Earth in unforeseen ways and will be a hugely risky alternative to reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, now there's not a whole lot of people that are actually standing up and risking their careers. There's a handful, but if they need more support, they need more people being aware that, yeah, you can look up in your sky and you can clearly see these visible trails, okay? And we can clearly see that the effects of cloud brightening, okay? I have, oh my goodness, there's so much. Hang on, because I want to get into cloud brightening, marine cloud, method of modifying weather. There's the patent for method of modifying weather. And this was from, oh my goodness, this is from 2001. I mean, I can take you back, though, even further to other patents. Process for absorbing ultraviolet radiation using dispersed melanin. They want to disperse these kind of things. And they have no idea what the full effects are of doing this, of absorbing this kind of light. And if you ask me, they don't have any right to interfere. They have no right to interfere with the energy that flows from the spaces above us and here at ground level. And that's exactly what all of this does. That's exactly what the weather modification does. And every day that you look up and you see these trails in your sky, you have to understand that it should not be normal. It should not be considered normal. We should stop allowing them to make these ridiculous context tags about contrails when we know what we know. I mean, there's patents for a liquid atomizing apparatus for aerial spraying, patents for a method and apparatus for altering a region in the Earth's atmosphere, ionosphere, and or magnetosphere. I mean, and these are patents and stuff that was approved a long time ago. This one is from 87, folks. And do you think that they just wasted all of their money, all of their so-called taxpayer dollars, and just let these patents rot away? No, they didn't. They've been altering this stuff for a long time in the attempts to own the weather. I have that file here too. There's the There's the weather as a force multiplier, owning the weather in 2025. That's another one that I wanted to go into, but this video already is 20 minutes long, and I've done nothing but rant. I've got other information. Weather warfare. Beware the U.S. military's experiments with climate warfare. This is stuff that has been going on for decades, okay? And right now, to anyone, I will tell you, to anyone that believes any of the weather patterns that we are experiencing right now, and in the last, like, in my observations, it's been pretty extreme just in the last 4 to 5 years. And anybody that believes that any of it is natural, you're really truly not paying attention. And anybody that believes that it's normal, you truly are not paying attention. Okay? If you are saying that it's normal, and if you are looking around in your skies and you are still saying that it's normal, then you are most likely being programmed by one of these agencies that holds a patent on some of these apparatuses and some of these methods that they're using to disperse this stuff over stuff. I mean, ice nucleation by water-soluble macromolecules. Geoengineering, Dane Wigington goes into quite a bit about ice nucleation. There's several sources that we can solicit for information, resources that are valid, credible resources that will show us and tell us that they are absolutely attempting to own and control the weather and the skies above our heads. And it just, here's another one. For a charged seed cloud as a method for increasing particle collisions and for scavenging airborne biological agents and other contaminants. Oh, gee, I wonder what recent events would have to happen in order for these people that developed this and these many teams who are involved in this. And when I talk about every country, I mean every country. Every country is involved in these patents. When you look at their references, you will see, you'll see they're all in on this. It's like an international thing in cooperation with the World Meteorological. So they have a vested interest, okay? So when something happens and they can deploy one of their little things that can scavenge airborne biological agents and other contaminants, then, hey, that just gives them a reason to use that. Well, let me just see. We've got a patent for a laminar microjet atomizer and method of aerial spraying of liquids. Yet another one that has foreign investments as well, and that's from 1983, folks. Hang on a minute. Let's go back to let's go back to just 2006, a method of scavenging atmospheric energy causing rainfall and for dissipating severe weather formations using an electrostatic dirigible. Okay, so what are they drifting over us? What would anybody call these balloons? They've recategorized them as balloons, but I would categorize them as dirigibles. So anybody that wants to say that they stopped developing that after the Hindenburg accident, you're wrong. And I would argue that because these scientific balloons, they have several of the launch locations. There's one in Palestine, Texas, Fort Sumner, New Mexico, Pacific Missile Range Facility in Hawaii, Alice Springs, Australia, McMurdo Station, Antarctica, Range Karuna in Sweden, Wanaka in New Zealand. I mean, these are dirigibles. And these are patents to disperse and manipulate weather. Okay? There's so much more because there was another, where was the other one at? Oh, that's right. That's what I was trying to point out, that there are lots of people in opposition of this. So when you hear stories about researchers that are seeking to get a global ban on sun dimming technologies, you need to find out how you can support it. And if you can't necessarily make monetary donations or do anything physical, the least that you can do is share the information and research it and share it and share it and share it with more people, so more people can be aware that we have a voice still. And providing that we allow Mother Nature to retake her courses under natural occurring events and situations without interference from these actors who seek to own and control it for whatever purposes, okay, which we already know there's publications documenting back for decades that already show that they have used it as a weapon. Now they want to try to convince us that they want to use it to help us after they've already proven that they are very efficient as using it as a weapon. They want us to support it. No, I don't. I don't consent. I never have, and I never will, and neither should you. And you should be pointing this out to people. You should be telling people that we have support. Mexico bans a startup from future solar geoengineering experiments. Scientists increasingly calling to dim the sun. Scientists say it should be illegal to fight climate change by blocking out the sun. I agree. And then you have other conflicting information where they're brainwashing these kids. I'm telling y'all. Oh my goodness gracious me. And there was another part of this here. Shoot. Yeah, oh my gosh, 26 minutes. I wanted to go into some more on this file here from the Special Commission on Weather Modification from 1965. I know that it's outdated, but if you can understand the historical background, then maybe you can understand why they get the impression that they are able to control this stuff. It's because they got too much public consent. They have too many people watching the storm chasers and calling it cool every time that they see something that is not normal and normalizing it. We cannot normalize this stuff. We cannot normalize every day that we see this stuff in our skies. Stop normalizing it. Okay? Man, there's so much more too that I wanted to get into. I got yeah, I mean, this was an interesting one too, where concerning Havana syndrome. I mean, this is another one. This is going to be another video for sure. I want to go in. This was from 1971, where talking about a NASA star patent. Okay, solar simulation. The present invention was developed in connection with a sun simulator system for use with an outer space environmental test chamber. Okay, and again, we go back to some of the patents. There's a patent for a solar simulator, dated from 2014. Okay, they're playing around with things that they have no right playing around with. A compact, high-intensity solar simulator. Now, what would you need something like that for, if not just to direct energy? Okay? I'm sorry, not sorry. I'm going to go into a different one and cover some more of that concerning the NASA-owned U.S. patents and STAR. Because I also want to go into some more information on Leak Marabou and his light craft design that uses light pulses. I want to go into more on the NRO, the National Reconnaissance Office, because they've been doing this stuff for a really long time, where they have been launching these satellite systems, so to speak, for a really long time. And I think that it has some association to do with what they call and what NASA says are stars. Anyway, that's a whole nother video. Oh my gosh, this is almost a half hour. If you're still watching, you're really awesome. I mean, I know I've said that before many times, but I do appreciate it if you're still watching. And I want to go into some more of this because I want to read some more from this Weather and Climate Modification, Special Commission on Weather Modification. There's interesting laws that were discussed back in 1965 that have actually influenced policy and changed legal and legislative aspects around weather modification and who's allowed to do it, where they're allowed to do it, and different things like that too. So, my goodness, that's another video. There's just so much here that I want to share as well. There's some interesting information in this book here, Cross Currents, and then some more information that I wanted to share from the body electromagnetic magnetism and the foundation of life. And one thing that you need to remember, folks, to anybody that thinks it's cool that they're able to generate these kind of energies and produce these kind of energies and direct it around us, you need to understand that it does have healing capabilities. It absolutely does. But you have to know and understand that if it can heal, it can harm. And when you have all of these different countries and their military where they all have something to prove, attempting to control and manipulate things that they have no business controlling and manipulating, you know, they cannot and will not ever be able to predict all of the variables. And you are one of the variables. You are one of the variables. You can share the information, you can do the research, and you can make sure that people are aware that on those days when you are seeing those trails in your skies and somebody tries telling you that it's contrails, you can say, nope, actually it's not. And let me show you what I mean when I tell you that it's not a contrail. Oh, thank you so much for watching. Oh my goodness, yeah. Yeah, there's more.